Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we will discuss a very important subject with one of the experts in India, Mr. Sipal Singh. Mr. Sipal Singh is currently the president of Nesbitt, and he's retired as a very senior police officer, having served with the government of India for over 35 years. He is also responsible for the raising the Rapid Action Force and also the Central Police Academy at Mount Abu. He's been decorated many times, and we will have his views today on the question of the validity and the constitutional rights of the latest BSF notification that has been done by the government of India, increasing the jurisdiction of the BSF for search seizures extending to 50 kilometers in the state of West Bengal and Punjab, reducing 80 kilometers to 50 kilometers in the states of Gujarat, and whereas there is no change in the northeastern states that border uh, the state of Bangladesh. The Border Security Force is at the core of the latest center versus states tussle after the Narendra Modi government augmented the powers of the force to allow officials to search, seize, and arrest at par with their police counterparts in the states of Punjab, Bengal, and Assam. Earlier, the jurisdiction limit for these states was different. Mr. Sipal Singh, why do you think the latest government of India order was necessary?
Yes, the government of India thought it appropriate probably that in view of the latest activities of the neighboring countries and a lot of things happening across in Afghanistan, there is going to be some escalation of terrorist activities and also dropping of arms, etc., drones. With this idea in view, and also to bring about a uniformity as far as the total distance from the border is concerned, because it was varied for various state at one point in time. Some are 17, some are 15, some are 35, some places 15. To bring about that uniformity, A, and B, that at this moment they felt that probably, particularly in Punjab and West Bengal, they are introduced now, that there is likely to increase the infiltration and the activities of the nefarious elements supported by the neighboring countries. In view of that, they extended the jurisdiction of the BSF to 50 kilometers. But there are many ifs and buts by
What
the
are
state.
the ifs and buts that you
Yes, the ifs and buts are that the deployment of BSF, all right, under the BSF Act, correctly. BSF provides the deployment of the BSF to extent the central government decides to do it. Somewhere it was 70, somewhere it was 50, somewhere 35, and in Punjab it was 15. Okay. The BSF Act permits, allows that this can be extended. The question is, if you extend, you have to come across as to what is the particular government in that particular area. Suppose in Punjab, there's a government which is other opposition party government, or Bengal, there's opposition. Other places, maybe there's a concurrence of the state, all right, you come and deploy. But in these places, by imposing that order without asking the state, without getting the concurrence of the state, is unconstitutional, basically. Why it is unconstitutional? That you very well know that constitution laid down that the law and order is a state subject. They call it that state subject is given in your state list of Article 246 of the Constitution. The state list provides this thing. It is neither law and order is neither in the concurrent list nor it is in the list of the union. It is only in the list of the state. So therefore, the state's concurrence has not been obtained and therefore is unconstitutional according to the legal.
but the BSF notification is not under the law and order situation, because they are not citing the law and order situation for the reason for extending the jurisdiction of the territory. They are talking of the Passport Act, they are talking of the Foreign Act, and they are talking of uh, three acts which are not connected to. Let me just.
So
Uh,
they are,
they are
they,
talking of the. They are enjoying the powers under the CRPC Passport Entry into India Act and the Passport Act of 1967. These are the acts under which they have been given the right to extend their power till 50 kilometers.
no, sir.
And under the NDPS Act, the Arms Act and the Customs Act, they have got certain powers of seizure also now, which they did not have under the procedure for passports and the CRPC earlier.
I partially beg to agree with you and partially beg to differ with you. Because in certain, at the time of notification, when the BSF Act gives you under 39 certain powers, and you are under 39 of the BSF, you have given a notification. In that notification itself, they will indicate that these powers will be exercised for such and such and such act. In certain cases, they have given clearly that already it will be for Passport Act, that's already there for passport purposes, or it is for the sake of customs, or it is for the sake of narcotics. It is clearly indicated. But this also mentions straightway, otherwise, that they enjoy the power under the Criminal Procedure Code. Second Act, CRPC is encompassing the total sort of umbrella legal powers. And under that, if a person of a BSF is going to arrest, search and seize a person, okay, you have given the powers. Okay. For example, first of all, I have told you this is not constitutional to impinge on the state subject. But all right, that you have got certain intention, good intention, and they are going to do this thing with the good intention only to stop this infiltration or to arrest, seize, and search people who are getting into the country, our country, into our border state, and are indulging in narcotics. Well and good. Intention is good. But there is no synergy unless at one point of time when the jurisdiction of border security force was given. At that time there were hardly any police stations in the area of jurisdiction of most of the states. Now almost all the states have jurisdiction, police jurisdiction going much above. The police station have been established, and particularly in Punjab. Supposing beyond 15 kilometer, which already the Punjab police and the police the state has accepted, all right, 15 kilometer you are doing is well and good. But when you come beyond 15 kilometer, you are impinging on the jurisdiction of the state police station. All right, then what is going to happen? You have arrested a person. BSF person has arrested. BSF individual has arrested a person. BSF individual has seized, searched. Then what is going to happen after that? After that, the FIR has to be lodged with the relevant police station of the area. So then the BSF will go to the police station to lodge the complaint and lodge the FIR. The police should take the FIR and then go for the investigation. If there's no synergy, if there's no coordination, if the state government say we do not want, do you think that it will be taken to the logical conclusion? Do you think that any such action taken in, I may say, even genuine action taken by the BSF, will it go to the logical conclusion of FIR being lodged, investigation and going to the court of law? So therefore, the second point, beside the constitutional point, the second point comes, is there definitely synergy between them or not? And in this instance, if you allow me to extend my argument, that the synergy, if there's lacking, there's likelihood of harassment to the villagers. Human nature, this is not very objective. It is subjective. You arrest a person. You are doubtful you are arrested. In respect of the fact whether it has got certain narcotic items or not, you have arrested a person. No, the subjective powers of that person who is arresting him, that is going to harass the individual, because sometimes they may arrest a person who is not actually having anything. And in this process, you are alienating those villages from the rule of law. And I'll tell you that what happened, that after, I'll not like to extend it to the Blue Star operation, but I'll like to extend it to Wood Rose. What happened after the Blue Star? There was Wood Rose operation. the army went into villages with powers to search people, to arrest people, and hand over to the police. Since they do not have, or they did not have the background of the villages, since the army did not have the intelligence of the people who were there was a lot of harassment. With the result that some of the individuals they had to run away, cross the border, went to the other side, and there were escalation of radicalism, escalation of terrorist movement there. Ultimately, the unless you have that knowledge, you are going to alienate. Ultimately, they had to induct the local police to get all knowledge and all and then do it. So my submission is that unless there is perfect coordination and perfect synergy, this is going to be more harmful than useful act of the government of India.
Operation Woodrose was instituted by the government of India with very good intentions, but it was the army is not geared up for local intelligence, which the police is. So obviously, it was an error on the part of how the implementation has to take place, rather than the fault of the armed forces in what they did. But I have another question.
Sir, in this case, let me add one line. It's a classical mistake. It is not that in case of, I say, Punjab. It is a classical mistake when the local police somewhere fails. It is always said that let's depend on the armed forces, let's depend on the army and introduce, probably they'll be able to curb terrorism. But this classical mistake which is done, sometimes it's very harmful. And in Punjab particularly, I am telling you, it did not. And I tell you, in other states also, where CRPF is operating, where BSF is operating, there are a lot of allegations against them from the district police as well as from the local population. There have been cases in Nagaland NIFA, which was directly under the BSF and the CRP, that some people, some ladies were molested and all, and nobody bothered about it. Because when you get a sweeping power, when you get this, you see, maybe they are objective, but sometimes the individual concern, I'm not talking about the force. Force has got this intention. Government has got this intention. But the individual who is implementing the order, he may go on the excessive side and it will alienate. And secondly, he doesn't have intelligence. He is arresting them on suspicion and it is not likely to be taken to logical conclusion.
In any case, what I've understood from the order is that, and reading of the acts, that the BSF can only hold a person for about 24 hours, and the FIR must get lodged within 24 hours of him being arrested, and all the things that have been seized must get deposited with the local police within 24 hours.
Sir, normal case of arrest, sir. In a normal case of arrest, Mr. Pawan Ahluwalia, in normal case of arrest, the police cannot keep him beyond 24 hours. Otherwise, also that's a not special certification. All right, they cannot hold. That is their normal also arrest. If you have to arrest a person within 20, but whether they produce it or not, whether there's a sort of excesses on the part of police, that I am not. I'm saying, as far as law is concerned, the individual after arrest has to be produced before the court of law within 24 hours. But if there is a distance involved between the court and the place of arrest, then transit time is taken into consideration and then it is counted at 24 hours. So my submission is not nothing new 24 hours. 24 hours laid down principle of law that you have to produce in 24 hours. And I like to extend the argument further. Please try to understand, not that there have been cases, constitutional also, because what happens is in 1976, for example, in 1976, immediately after the emergency, they had amended the constitution partially. That is called 42nd Amendment to the Constitution, whereby Article 246 were amended to include that armed forces of the center can be sent to the state in case of some serious law and order situation. That is 76. And 76, it was imposed immediately after the emergency, and it is there, 42nd Amendment. But with the passage of time, there was strong resentment from the opposition. And in 2 years' time, in 78 again, there's an amendment omitting,
the 44th Amendment,
deleting this particular section, that particular article from the union list. It was brought back to the original position. So there has been experiment, no doubt. But in any case, if you want to bring about a uniform sort of, I agree that there may be certain reasons, and we can talk further in the process of interview as to what can be a solution for that.
My only concern is that the jurisdiction extended to the BSF is not for law and order situation, which is a matter which is still held by the police. What they are talking of is the people coming in across the border or having
Is
arms.
a, is
So
a,
they are catching them on a different note. But anyway, my second question to you is: if the BSF has not been successful or been successful partially within a 15-kilometer zone,
that is
and
another.
now you're going to extend it to 50 kilometers. What is the extra manpower or the extra resources that BSF is going to have to be able to do a better job than in 15 kilometers?
Absolutely correct. You have touched, actually, you have touched a very important issue. You have not been able to have an impregnable sort of wall within an area of 15 kilometer, and that is why the infiltration comes up to the 50 kilometer. That is why the arms come, unless it is by drone. Otherwise, if the manpower, if there are infiltrators going on, they ultimately cross the border, cross their 15 kilometer, then come to 50 kilometer. So the subject is absolutely self-negation, because you cannot stop infiltration. If you have not been able to stop in 15 kilometer, you do not have adequate manpower to absolutely make a sort of impregnable wall for 15 kilometer. How are you going to do in 50 kilometer? So this comes and pick and choose. That means wherever there's doubt, they'll pick up individual. There is some information, they'll pick up individual. So it is not going to be that easy process. As I said, that will take action. It is not, because it is basically in that 50 kilometer, extended 50 kilometer, 35 kilometer, they'll have to do pick and choose. And absolutely, the argument, counter argument is, why not make that particular 15 kilometer impregnable? Why not make that more concentration there? How are you going to have the BSF? We do not get BSF and CRP for normal assistance to the police when they require. How are you going to make the border up to 50 kilometer with that much force? Where will you get that force from?
No, you're absolutely right. And even the problem of how the coordination of information and intelligence is going to take place between the BSF and the local police is a question mark as I see it.
So the BSF, the local police, are the, I'll not use the word BSF, the para police forces, or the paramilitary forces, or the central armed forces, whatever you call, and the local police, unless you have got absolutely synergy one to another intelligence, it is not. Even in the case of my practical experience, I'm telling you, in the case of height of terrorism in Punjab, we had to bring about lot of efforts were put in to bring about coordination between these forces and the police. We had to introduce sector schemes and what not in the Punjab state, so that there is proper coordination. If separate officer was posted who had to get them coordinated. So coordination is not that easy. I come to other point. You remember that in December, when December 6th, when Babri Masjid was demolished, there were not less than about 300 companies of the paramilitary forces close to the Babri Masjid. And the Babri Masjid was being fell down. At that point of time, the forces said, give us permission. I am saying forces means police forces of the government of India, the paramilitary forces.
The Central Armed
But
Police Forces.
they were not allowed, because they said the state has not asked for it. When
Yes.
the state asks for it, then only we allow. Over and above, when they ask, why don't you impose the president rule and then use them? Because after you impose the president rule, that is your own government, and then the governor's rule, why don't you? Then in his book, the then Prime Minister, Mr. Narasimha Rao, wrote that, to justify that, his book is there on that, on 6th December. He writes that I could neither exercise the power of 356, that is imposition of governor rule, because the governor did not recommend. The recommendation had to come from governor, then only the central government could impose governor rule. And secondly, as well as utilization of forces are concerned, that was not utilized, that was up to the local police and local authorities. Here is a one side where you are absolutely not using when the forces are there and demolition is taking place because constitutionally we are not authorized. Here is the other side where the states are saying that constitution is not, then you are imposing. So there is a lot of contradiction. I don't think the intention is bad, but it's not going to be very easy process in state where there is a opposition party in government.
Uh, from all available indications, the government is not likely to roll back this instruction or order that has been passed. Do you think if it is not constitutionally valid, would the states follow it?
So in this case, if the government is not going to hold back, our government does not restrict their powers, as I said, to customs, etc. Only a few laws, not under all laws, CRPC, full powers. Instead of that, if you restrict it to certain laws, that probably may manage. The government of this other state, the opposition may also increase. All right, we are only under these laws they are going to operate. There can be one way.
That is what the notification does say. Actually, it's only
no,
for
sir.
a couple of laws. It is not sweeping powers like the state police has.
So specific powers are government notification, specific under certain A. The B, which I am doubting, is that now with the oncoming elections in certain state, although I'm not a perfect man to ask about election, but it is going to have a lot of impact. The presence of the forces in that area is going to have a pressure, mental pressure on the villagers who are voting and all. And I am of the view that at a stage will come when the constitutionality of this decision will be challenged by the state government because there's a lot at stake for the next government to come in.
I would like to ask you, what was the compelling need for the government of India to issue this instruction or order at this stage?
So one compelling need I've indicated that one is, as I told you, that the Taliban influence is increasing. They are going ahead here and there. They're already saying that they're going to be terrorism, the Islamic terrorism is going to increase. And because these border states, particularly Punjab and Bengal, are closer to these borders where nefarious activity, nefarious elements can come in. So the government wanted in its own wisdom that somehow or the other there will be an impact on them, that they will be arrested by these forces and forces are present there. A. The second intention seems to be, I feel, that in certain places, particularly in the state which is having opposition government, the coming of the elections in the near future will get impacted by their presence. I mean, either pro-center or anti-center, that I cannot envisage at this stage. But I am sure that that is also in view because certain opposition parties, particularly in Punjab, demanded that we want more BSF without realizing that you demand BSF. Yes, you demand CRP. Yes, we had 300 and plus companies in Babri Masjid. We had more than about troops like for 20,000 in the Punjab. And yet they were asked for. They were asked for the state. The state asked for and they induct. So if you want to induct, let us have the concurrence of the state. Let us ask them, all right, you want more troops, where do you want to deploy? Let the deployment be in the hands of the state governments.
The Union Home Ministry states that the notification is based on the suggestions made by the BSF. What was the compelling reason for the BSF to make this suggestion?
Agreed. Now, I'm not going to get into the internal story. Whether the compelling reason, BSF did not ask for all these years. In certain cases, there were 70. In certain cases, there were 30. In certain cases, there were 15. All these years, there was no uniformity. What is the need of a uniformity all of a sudden? And I beg to differ. There is no need of a uniformity. Because in certain places, like far off in northeast areas, and also in certain areas in Assam, there are no police stations. There, the jurisdiction may have to be increased because they are assisting the police indirectly in helping in those areas due to absence to vacuum of police. But in certain states, the police is there already. you cannot usurp the power of the police, local police there. So I feel that the necessity cannot be all of a sudden with the idea to bring about uniformity. For years and years, ever since the BSF was started in 1965, it started with only borders and all. Gradually, they were extended. We use them in internal security also. So I am of the firm view that in this case, it is not only one reason, that is that since the BSF asked for this, hence we wanted to bring uniformity. I think there are many more reasons which can be attributed to it.
Right. And if you really map out the 50 kilometers for the states of Punjab and West Bengal, nearly 50% of the territory of the state goes under the jurisdiction of the BSF. And that is what the states are objecting to. How do you think that, if the states keep objecting, how will the coordination take place? Who will be the boss, either BSF or the local state police?
That is exactly the same thing. That is the confusion. That exactly is confusion. Because when you extend this to an area which is already being manned and managed by the district police, when you extend it, there are likely to be conflicts. And these conflicts, particularly between the forces, is not a very good omen for any country. So I am of the view that, first of all, the synergy, and in that case, in any case, ultimately it has to be the local police. As you say, the supremacy will be with the local police. Even if they agree to get it, the supremacy will remain with the state, because state, it is a state subject. Under the state, it is included, unless, as I told you, there is a other we can have, because if you are feeling so concerned, if the government of India feels so concerned, yes, there can be another structure, a very nice structure without much of amendment of the constitution, keeping still the state subject police. Still you can amend certain areas, as you can amend certain 246 constitution with reference to the list that you can already include in the list. Earlier you amended and then you deleted it. Now you amend it and include in certain list. You amend Article 246. There's no need to amend the entire structure of the constitution. The basic structure of the constitution, the fundamental structure of the constitution still remains, that public order or so-called law and order or so-called police still remain a federal subject. But in the case of such emergency, suo motu, the center can send in itself. That sort of amendment can bring about different framework, and this is not very difficult. If you are ordering the BSF to go there, that notification, all right, you have a little inclusion in one list or the other list, and then you say constitution is permissible. Make it a constitutional and then use it. If there's worry, the worry is there, then why not? Earlier we have got precedent, I told you, that we had amended in 76, and again we had to go back to 70. This time you amend it in suitably and put it in the list, which is called the union list, instead of the state list. Also put public order in the union list. Already public order in the state list. Also put that in case of emergency, it will come on the union list. Put it in the union list, and then you have got constitutional provision available with you. You can send anytime.
A little while earlier, I mentioned that the government says that it's been done at the behest of the recommendations by the BSF. I have another noting that the BSF has commented to say that it's been done to give uniformity of jurisdiction. Why is uniformity of jurisdiction so important to the BSF?
Sir, it can be in terms of logistics, probably it may be important for the BSF. Supposing you have a uniformity of jurisdiction. Let us say I am presuming this is done for the uniformity of jurisdiction. I'm also presuming, because I am saying there were some other reasons also. It cannot be a dish after so many years you want to bring university, but at least there should be some logic. The logic behind seems to be that once you give the jurisdiction, that all right, it will be up to 50 kilometers in every state. Then the BSF will work out its own strength logically. Logistic requirement will be worked out. All right, in 50 kilometers, how much strength BSF is needed, and whether we should raise more forces, whether we should move BSF from one place to other, take in view the strength. At certain places, 50 kilometers, they may not be having BSF. At some places, there may be extra BSF. So there may be relocation, reallocation of the force, as well as additional battalion may have to be raised. So keep in view the future needs. If once you have got some uniformity, any organization will be able to have the logistic worked out. Whether you have a uniformity, then you have 50 kilometers, this much requirement is there for my manpower. So you will work out, and on the basis of that workout, you will be able to spread out your force, or you will be able to have more force for you. So this logic might be behind it as far as the BSF is concerned. But to take a step at this stage and to say that it is in view of the infiltration, in view of the terrorist activities, also acceptable. But whether it is constitutionally correct, whether it will be able to implement with the local police not coordinating, and that is a question.
What is the kind of impact that the local police are going to feel with the imposition of BSF on them? What are the hassles that they would have?
So the hassles are, from point of view of legal hassles, as I have already explained to you. The legal hassles are, they say that when we register an FIR, we properly investigate, and then otherwise we drop out. In this case, the arrest has been done, the seizure has been done by a force A, and they have given the FIR to force B. The force B says that it was not properly done, and this hassle, or it has been done by intention, or it has been done to implicate some people, as it is. So in that case, the hassle will be that they will not register. This has happened not only in the case of BSF and the Punjab police, even in certain places from police to police station. We have so many instances where the cases were registered by the Punjab police, but the terrorists were operating somewhere in Bengal or somewhere in Delhi. And when the state police forces went there, and if they acted without the concurrence of that particular state government, there were difficulties and problems. There were a lot of problem arose, lot of complaint arose, lot of friction arose. So even state police to state police, the friction arises when there is a overlapping of jurisdiction. So in this case, I feel first is that they will feel themselves that we have been belittled. A. Secondly, the individual to individual. Some people may agree, but some SHO who has got all powerful there, and he may be saying, all right, you are trying to impinge on my jurisdiction, I am not bothered for you. So that is a sort of feeling which is not good between the forces in the ultimate analysis.
Ultimately, the BSF can't file a charge sheet. They still
BSF
have to, I said the BSF cannot file a charge sheet.
Yeah, charge sheet, they cannot even, they will even FIR they file, the FIR charge sheet to is a last issue. First is registration of FIR, then in the investigation, and after investigation, the charge sheet. Who will file the FIR? They will file the FIR. Agreed. They will investigation, local police. Charge sheet, local police. 3 months they take normally under the criminal law, CRPC, for investigation. Permitted period is, permissible period is 90 days. For 90 days, the police can go on investigating, and ultimately find there's nothing that and not proper, and they not file a charge sheet. Then you tell me there's a lot of ifs and buts in that. That's what I start the question. No, good and all, intention may be good, but there are a lot of ifs and buts. It's not going to be very smooth sailing, sir. And I am of the firm view that the government should try to have both the government should try to have a via media. I mean, it is good for.
How do you measure 50 kilometers from the border? Because the border is a straight line. How do you measure 50 kilometers? Because inside also you'll have a similar line like the border.
No, this is again a very difficult question, because it is not like a Radcliffe line that you draw a border between Pakistan and India and put people into a problem. It is a line which is difficult because it will cut across some jurisdiction, half a jurisdiction of one police station, half a jurisdiction of other police station. Because 50 kilometer, if 15 kilometer also is difficult to draw any line, but 50 kilometer may have many overlapping jurisdiction of some police station. You know, he has committed a crime with 50 kilometer on this side of the border. Then which police station will be involved? So therefore, it's not that easy solution. Then they'll have to demarcate ultimately in an area of so and so under so and so police station, or we are demarcated in the terrorist sectors. Okay, this sector of 50 kilometers, which may include any police station, will be under the jurisdiction of BSF. Then they'll have to demarcate the 50-kilometer sector, irrespective of the police jurisdiction. And then that question will come, who will control that sector from the police? All right, the sector may be controlled from the BSF by a commandant or by a DIG, but who is going to control that sector from the point of view of the police? That sector may be under one DIG, other DIG, one SHO. That means one man has to be appointed by them also, the police also, as a sort of police sector commander. Then that sector commander of the BSF and the police sector commander should have coordination. So it's not that easy a solution. Your question is right. That is not possible to mark the demarcation unless you say all right, 50-kilometer sector is straightway under the BSF. And in this case, whatever police station come, that will fall under that BSF sector commander. And this side also, the police should also nominate somebody who is a police sector commander for coordination.
In my research, I had stumbled upon certain issues that in 2012, the Manmohan Singh government was considering the move to expand BSF jurisdiction. And at that time, it was opposed by the present government as the opposition party. What has changed between 2012 and 2021 that there's been a complete change in posture politically?
Sir, it again comes to the same solution. When the Dr. Manmohan Singh government must be thinking, as you say, of increasing jurisdiction, again, in the interest of concurrence of the state, keep in view the constitutional position, they may not have in their wisdom try to give the jurisdiction. Secondly, there would be possibility that at that time either there was a president rule at that point of time or the government is of the same as that of center. The problem arises only when there are opposition governments. If the same government is there, they say, all right, the central government there will agree with it, whatever they say. But the question is, why not have a structural arrangement? Why not have that particular structural arrangement where the central government can intervene in these cases? The structural arrangement can be made. There's no problem, as I told you, without touching the basic features of the Constitution. You can have a structural arrangement by amending a part of the 246, Article 246, and consonant and 355. Let me give you one point. Article 355 of the Constitution clearly lays down that imagine, there the central responsibility is given. There's a little content. 355 lays down that in case of such a concern, it will be the central government also concerned to help the state government in case of such. That means 355 gives some powers or some responsibility rather to the central government. But at the same time, when you come to other union lists and all, at that time, this responsibility which has been mentioned to be given to the state government has not been given in the list. So I feel that if you go by one article of the Constitution and include this subject also either in the union list or even the concurrent list, then at that time there is no difficulty for the central government to comment about. So in that time, probably Manmohan Singh did not do for certain reasons, maybe constitutional.
No, because he was opposed, so he did not do it. But I have one, I think we've come to the end of our discussion. But I'd like you to give one closing remark, whether you are for the notification or you would like to see it go away.
I didn't get you, sir.
The orders have been passed for increasing the jurisdiction in Punjab and West Bengal to 50 kilometers. Would you, as an individual, as a senior police officer, think that it is wise for the decision to stay or it is wise for the decision to be removed?
My view is absolutely the same, which I have been postulating and trying to enunciate all during the discussion. That as a senior police officer, I feel that there is a need. At times, there is a need that you need to have these forces. Then the question is, who should have the powers to get these forces. If the state government requests, you are likely to get. We have been requested. But the question is, when you come to the imposition of something, then it's difficulty. So I feel that the CN ultimately will have to be resolved by concurrence both of the state and the center. I mean, I'm not going to say, all right, if I were there in the place of center, I would have said, all right, let us sit down, let us try to do something. And at this point of time, if I'm not able to amend the constitution, you ask from me. Then if there was some other government that say, all right, give me 50 kilometers. That's all right, that problem is solved. When the state government gives you 50 kilometers, then they have a jurisdiction, it will remain of the police, but 50-kilometer border will have the BSF under this state government. So independent jurisdiction is not envisaged, nor is acceptable to me. No, whenever there's either independent jurisdiction of other armed forces, whenever there's a conflict between the armed forces and the local police, then the consequences are bad for the population who will be subjected to this seizure, this arrest. The population as such, I feel, in the interest of the population, that this should be resolved very amicably.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sipal Singh. What a wonderful discussion we've had on the subject of the increase in distance of the police, of the BSF in various states, the decrease from 80 kilometers to 50 kilometers in the state of Gujarat. And I am really thankful to you as the president of NISMIT. I think we've had a very good discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.